What is your favorite word? Think about it for a moment. Think real hard. Write it down in the comments, posted for everyone else to see. How many letters does it have? How many syllables? Say it aloud. How does it sound? How does it feel on your tongue? Really think about it. Now make sure you keep that word in mind. It's important, and we'll come back to it later. For now, it's time to talk about SCP-3449. Look, there's really nothing any special about this one. It wasn't even important enough to be mentioned with the other info hazards. It's not an evil talking toaster, that's for sure. SCP-3449 appears to just be a standard spiral notebook. Notebook? It's supposed to be notebook, right? Anyway, it's just a standard spiral notebook with a dark blue cover. It's safe class, and it's stored in the standard containment locker in Site-19. There aren't any other containment requires, but testing is currently underway to determine, I think it's meant to be determine, long-term containment requirements. This is a mess. Anyway, this item and its anomalous power is actually considered so inconsequential that researchers have explored the possibility of putting it on the anomalous items log, a place where items too useless to warrant a full file ends up. Geez, how do you misspell up that badly? It's 2 letters. Well, it's supposed to be 2 letters. How did you work Z into that? They aren't even close to each other on keyboard. Man. Anyway, the notebook contains mostly blank pages. Some are torn and only 6 contain actual writing. But due to the formatting of the writing, the text, consisting mainly of diary entries, is almost unreadable. This is due to SYntactIcal errors, random capitalization, and rampant misspellings? Great, you misspelled misspellings. How cute. Apparently, all attempts to correct these misspellings fail, or even lead to additional misspellings. This anomalous effect extends to anyone attempting to write— Yep, that was spelled R-I-G-H-T. Anyone attempting to write about SCP-3449, including the script for this video, apparently. There are no further notable anomalous properties. Tests are ongoing, though those with any inquiries about testing SCP-3449 should contact lead researcher Nicolo Gurdnell. The notbok, which was misspelled even worse this time, impressive, was first recovered by MTF Epsilon 6, also known as the Village Idiots, after a series of info-hazardous and cognito-hazardous phenomenon were discovered in the Pittsburgh metro area. The source seemed to be a storage unit filled with anomalous items, and SCP-3449 was amogus. I think that's meant to be among them. The storage unit was registered to a man by the name of Edward Salisbury, currently designated as Porpoise of Interest 4335. Whew, that's the end of that. Thanks for watching the video, folks. Now go check out— oh wait, there's more. Phenomenal. Let's keep going. Apparently, that version of the file was an older one. Let's check the next one and see if that's any more useful. Oh my. It appears that the updates here are actually quite extensive. Okay, let's give this another try. SCP-3449 is a Euclid-class SPC kept in the humanid containment cells of Site-19. Items affected by it are kept in standard storage lockers for safe-class anomalous objects at the same site. The primary reason for this shift is that SCP-3449 has changed its object of designation. It is no longer the spiral notebook. It is now a 34-year-old Caucasian man known as Edward Salisbury, formerly known as Person of Interest 4335. He is believed to be the creator of the notbok, as well as other objects found in the storage looker in Pittsburgh. Foundation personnel are now trying to locate and contain any other objects created by Mr. Salisbury, though success has been limited on this front. That was cute. SCP-3449's analogous abilities manifest onto both Edward himself and all the objects created by him. Reading about him or any of these objects will result in SYntactIcal errors, arbitrary capitalizations, and rampant ispemlls. Attempts to revise or correct the writing will either fail to remove the errors or create new errors. It appears that the anomalous effects of SCP-3449 proper are more severe than that of the ones caused by his anomalous objects. MTF-6, also known as the Village Idiots, apprehended SCP-3449 in his apartment just outside of Pittsburgh. He appeared to be in an advanced state of disorientation and dehydration. Records collected by the Mobile Task Force found that Mr. Selberg had not left his apartment in over 10 days, which would account for his dire health conditions. Selberg did not communicate with members of the Mobile Task Force, but did not reset arrest and subsequent containment either. Okay, these spellings are rough, but I'm going to try and power through. I am a professional, and we're almost there. The following is the full log of items obtained from SCP-3449's storage look car that also exhibit his anomalous effects. The notebook, as already discussed, the pages are either blank, torn, or illegible. Selberg's computer. Files saved on this device include spreadsheets dealing personal finances, ideals for products, and an unfinished horror novel that is almost unreadable due to the poor quality of its writing. Grocery list had only 2 written items. Booter was spelled with only 1 T, and medication, which was spelled medication. A planner. Last entry was dated 2 weeks before containment and believed to contain reminders to perform various chores. However, a mixture of poor handwriting and word choice allows for other interpretations. And finally, Mr. Selberg's cell phone. Foundation researchers were also able to collect the call logs in hopes of further tracking Selberg's pre-containment activities. The last 3 calls, which were all made on the same day 2 weeks before containment, dialed different numbers, only one of which was in use. The Foundation made contact with the receiver of said call, who had no knowledge of SCP-3449, and claimed that they did not answer the call. Lead researcher Nicolo Gurdinel conducted the first interview with SCP-3449 shortly after his capture. When he entered the interview chamber, he found that SCP-3449 was just sitting in the corner, with his head in his hands, rocking back and forth in what appeared to be apparent distress. He then began looking down into his lap and twiddling his thumbs like a child. Nicolo engaged him in a calm and polite tone, addressing him as SCP-3449. The anomaly made eye contact with Dr. Gurdinel, but he didn't respond, and instead continued staring at him. As Gurdinel asked further questions, Selberg simply didn't answer, or would, at the very most, acknowledge the questions with simple gestures. Gurdinel asked whether Selberg was making products for his business, to which he smiled and shook his head. Gurdinel then asked Selberg whether he could speak or not, or if it was merely a choose on his part. Unsurprisingly, Selberg offered no explanation, and the interview came to a close shortly afterwards. Tests are still ongoing to find out if Selberg's inability to speak or communicate come as a result of his anomalous traits, or if this is simply a result of apophonia, an uncommon but non-anomalous condition that renders its victims unable to speak. Tests have confirmed that Selberg does have all the organs required for vocalization, but appears to not use them. Further tests are required. Alright, there we have it. That was a complete nightmare to read thanks to SCP-3449's anomalous effects, but at least it's over now. Now, go check out... Wait, there's more. Another update to the file. Good, okay. Alright, let's go take a look. Oh, I see. This is a lot more dangerous than I thought. I suppose I better read on. SCP-3449 has been upgraded to Keter Class Anomal. SCP-3449-A, the new designation for Edward Selberger, is to be kept in a high-security hazmat containment in Site-19. The inanimate anomalous possessions of Edward Selberg are to be kept in standard object containment. Any reports written on SCP-3449 must be rotten by people who have been exposed to it for less than 7 days in order to keep the files rateable. To prevent this infectious info-hazard from spread further, the number of people allowed to interact with this anomaly is kept relatively small and consists of those that have already been exposed at some point or another. This includes O5-8, MTF-6, Dr. Teller's research team, Some additional personnel selected for XPC-3449 research, and personnel chosen to update SCP-3449 documentation. Some additional personnel selected for XPC-3449 research, and personnel chosen to update SCP-3449 documentation. While Edward Salzberg and his personal effects are chronically locked up, SCP-3449 is not currently considered contained. Research into the spread of SCP-3449's effects, the vectors for transmission, and any potential remedies for its degenerative effects are now top priority for all involved before this whole thing gets out of hand. Further research has taught the Foundation that not only are Salzberg and his items powerful info hazards, their anomalous effects appear to be able to infect these who experience them permanently. Initially, it will appear that writing quality only degrades when the subject is actually writing about SCP-3449 itself, but over time they'll come to the frightening realization that it actually affects their writing as a whole. The effect also progresses in its severity over time, eventually rendering the victim's ability to write legible sentences completely destroyed. The initial anomalous effects of SCP-3449 were discovered when MTF-6 writes their field reports on the matter and found it littered with SYntactIcal error, random capitalization, and rampant misspellings. Similar errors appearing in the initial fail about SCP-3449 only serve to reaffirm this observation. However, researchers only began to notice true extent of SCP-3449's effects when the Village Idiot's field reports concerning other Solomines came in with equally atrocious writing. Attempts to correct this writing simply led to more mistakes and frustration on part of team. Soon after, a researcher named Dr. Teller, who'd since taken over the SCP-3449 case, and his team found that they were experiencing similar issues. They couldn't just make the blurs happen, no matter how hard they concentrated. They forgot spellings. They couldn't make hand move in the manner they waited to in order to form the words. Even the most intelligent and articulate members of the team came across as extremely young children on page, but didn't stop there. Wasn't long before researchers who'd never worked on the SCP-3449 case started to exhibit these same suspicious errors in own writing. The Foundation didn't know how, but this likeness was starting to spread, with people's abilities to write degrading across the entire Foundation. That's when a Foundation web trawler picked up something even more disturbing. Global literacy seemed to be taking a dive. The telltale SYntactIcal error, random to capitalization, and rampant misspellings ticking up everywhere and for everyone. And the end of writing would be one thing, but SCP-3449 doesn't stop there. No, that's just the beginning. Morse code go next, then pictograms, not long for sign language become hopeless scrambled. Communication breaks down little by little. People can't draw anymore, can't move right hands. Call goes, calls, codes, last go, his voice. Talking gets hard. Remember favorite word? Think about it, say it loud. When SCP-3449 done, when everyone infected, you'll never say again. Nobody will ever say again. Now go check out Minecraft World Destroyer, SCP-4335, A Welt in the Crucible, and SCP-055 Anti-Meme Unknown for more mind-bending anomalies from the SCP Foundation.